New Thought Media Network proudly presents the High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour, 60 minutes of connections, insights, and conversations to raise your vibe. Join Rev Julie and Rev Skip each week for an exploration of living a high vibe life. Tune in live every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time or anytime during the week on our YouTube channel. The High Vibe Hour, only on New Thought Media Network.
Hey, here we are. Welcome to the High Vibe Hour here on the New Thought Media Network. I am Reverend Skip Jennings, and I am an author, a retreat facilitator. I am also a minister and a teacher, and I am just really grateful to have shared this space with my sister, Reverend Julie Moret. Hey.
Hey, and you're getting ready to head to Bali.
I am, exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into that. I'm Reverend Julie Moret. I'm a spiritual teacher and inspirational speaker at the Agape International Spiritual Center, founded and directed by Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. And I have loved, I know we're shifting gears. I have loved these Fridays, getting together for an hour and just diving deep. I love the rawness of it. I love the realness of it. I love being able to speak our truth and grow together. You know, that's my favorite part. I feel like, you know, the folks that join in with us, like we're growing together, and that feels really good to me. What you sipping on over there?
I am sipping on a concoction of the jasmine flower tea that I love at the very bottom, and then there's green tea that's in the center. And it's just a nice concoction that really keeps me kind of in a level-headed kind of feeling right now because I have a lot going on. And you mentioned I'm heading to Bali, and it's a lot of work. And people keep asking me, "Are you excited?" I'm like, I'd probably be excited when I get on the flight on Monday. But yeah, you know, so I'm just trying to keep a cool-headed one step at a time. And people were saying, "So are you packed?" I said, "Yeah, almost, but I am actually one talk away from Bali." So
one talk away. I really appreciate that, because there are so many times when I have something coming up and people are like, "Oh my God, are you excited?" But I'm not there yet because I got the checklist and I haven't gotten there yet. Yeah. So I so appreciate and understand that. And I think it's to me, it's a little humorous because it's like, I don't want to let people down because they want me to be really excited, but like I got to make sure my laundry's clean and I got to,
I'm
get
still
the things covered and handled. So
getting some stuff. And the other thing too is, when you go away for these big events or that's work. So yes, it's in Bali. But I have 14 days of spiritual teachings. So every day we get up, we're doing another lesson, another theme for the day. So I'm literally have written 14 talks, and we're doing movement as well. And the schedule is really cool where we get up in the morning, we do movement, meditation, go have breakfast, come back for the spiritual teaching. And then we're out doing our excursions. And part of this work has been seeing what the theme is and how is it speaking to me, and what way am I learning from. Like the first theme is really shutting down and relaxing, allowing yourself to heal, which a lot of us don't do. And for me, it's been, Rev, we've talked about it on the show, finding the balance. And for me, is knowing that sometimes I don't give myself permission to heal, to slow down, to heal, because we can't heal if we're still moving. Healing doesn't happen when we move. We got to get still. So I'm watching myself going through these spiritual lessons myself as I'm teaching, but it's work, and it's beautiful work. So I'm in Bali. So poor me. I get to go work in Bali.
I appreciate that, because a lot of folks, like we have work things, but when you need to be on, you need to be on, and you're holding all those people. You got a group of 20 and you are holding them. So I really appreciate that. And I think maybe let's make sure we leave time at the end of this hour together. Let's pray up. We can pray you up. Let's
I'd
pray
love
all of
that.
us up. I want to include Liz and her son. I saw your message. I want to scoop you all up in prayer. And, just take a moment of sacredness. There's a lot happening in our world. And so I think, to your point, like, let's take a moment and do the work, like be the work rather than just talk about it. So I'm definitely appreciating that. And Wayne Baldwin is on. I see you on Agape Stream all the time. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you for being
So
here. And thank you, Liz. We see you.
I have my brew today.
I was about to ask you, what are you
I don't know if you
drinking?
can see the bottom stir up, but it's like golden seal, echinacea, vitamin C. It's a real immune booster. I have been trekking in the mountains again, and long hours. I'm really loving it, and I just want to make sure my body's really, restored. And so I'm doing some like immune boosting stuff today.
I've been doing that leading up to this trip, because whenever I get on a flight, and I'm not calling anything in, but I'm very aware of how we are such in a small space. And we know that the air on the flights are filtered, but just immune boosting for me is actually preparing myself for this 18-hour flight.
Yeah.
Traveling. So I've been doing my extra vitamin C and the wellness and the mushrooms and the adaptogen, and I'll do my drink before I leave out to go get my manicure, because that's self-care. I got to go get me taken care of before I take care of everybody else.
Yes. And Elishiva, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Yes.
I'm grateful that y'all are all tuning in. We are taking a pause, and
Yes.
this is the last version of the High Vibe Hour in its current state. We're going to take some time and reflect. And I wanted to share something that I read recently, because, we're in the year of the fire horse. And my Qigong master said this, and I thought it was really powerful. He said, the year of the fire horse, this is Master Wu, when the horse arrives, success follows. In ancient Chinese culture, the arrival of the swift cavalry signaled an immediate victory. But in this auspicious year of the Long Ma, which is the dragon horse, the mythical omen of sages and emperors, success requires more than just speed. It requires direction, the wisdom of the right direction. If the horse represents success, what is the deeper meaning? Many fear failure, but the secret is simpler. Which direction is your horse facing? If you begin a journey in the wrong direction, you will never arrive. And so what I love about what we're doing today is spring is coming, and there's this desire to like leap into spring. But before we take that big leap, we're inviting you all to join us with a pause, a moment of the pause, and reflect, what direction are you moving in? What direction do you want to be moving in? And is your current lifestyle, life situation, actions in alignment with your heart's longing? I'm going to be speaking to that. I'm speaking at Agape on the last Sunday of March. And we're going to be really speaking about the walking the way in your life and making sure that the direction, the course that you are on is the divine right course for your soul, not just like our thinkingness, like what we think we should do. Yeah.
And this Sunday, I'm speaking at North Hollywood Oneness Center and my church, my community, and I'm speaking on the signs that we are seeing right now. And I see Brother Wayne drop something in there, and I love this idea. We're going to talk about the divine feminine as well. I feel like that's happening as well. The divine feminine is rising up. And my talk is really these signs that we're seeing of the wars that are happening, and these mass horrific experiences through the Epstein files, and all the things that we're seeing here are signs of wonders that something is seeking to emerge. And what I'm feeling is coming forth is the rise of the divine feminine. And I truly believe, we're going to do a video about Women's History Month. I truly believe this is a sign that we're seeing a massive awakening of the divine feminine, for the healing and for the nurturing and the powerful feminine power that comes and shifts the planet. And I sent you the podcast from Michael Beckwith's Take Back Your Mind, and which Andrea Waters King,
very well.
and she said something so powerful that blew me away. In the beginning of the podcast, she said, "Women create webs, men build ladders."
Right.
And I went, "Wow, that is so interesting," because our mentality in the yang experience, because there are women who really dominate in the yang experience as well, that build ladders, that it's like going to the top and getting to the top and staying on the top, and we're all trying to climb up there. But this web that she's talking about, it's like the matriarchal way of leadership is, you're a circle, Reb, I'm a circle, Wayne's a circle, Elishiva is a circle. We're all these circles that are intertwining into this web that creates this beautiful creation of all of us connecting together. And she also said one other thing that just made me almost cry. I was driving. Women know how to build communities. That's what women do. Women energy brings people in. I remember my mother, when children couldn't eat, my mother was feeding kids. On a Sunday morning after church, everybody would come to my mother's house. She'd be feeding everybody. That's building community. I've never remember my father ever doing that. My father didn't do that. My father didn't roll that way. My mother knew how to create homes.
And it's not just anatomical women. It's the divine feminine energy. I know many men and it's about being in balance, so we're not trying to feminize men. We're saying that we human beings, whatever our gender, we carry the masculine and the feminine. And when either gets out of balance, our lives are out of balance. And that works for us individually. It also works for us in our culture, in our society, and in our governments. And when our governments lead in a very masculine manner, it prevents meaningful peace. You can dominate, you can gain dominance, you can grab people, you can grab lands, but you won't get the respect. It's not a lasting thing. And so in some cases you need both, like I think there is a calling for both. And so what we're speaking about, and this whole month at Agape is the rise of the divine feminine. And I'll be able to kind of bring it home right at the end. And we want to talk about is there an area of the divine feminine that's wanting to emerge in your life more? How is your balance? I think it's a great thing for all of us to reflect on. How's your balance with that? And especially, as you mentioned, there are a lot of women that in order to function in modern society and make the money and get the job and raise the kids and do all the things, we've learned, a lot of us, to do it through a masculine forcing, getting, grabbing, like gotta do it kind of energy. And so there is a way to move. It's called the way, moving with more ease, more grace, more alignment. And so that's one thing that I think our times are calling for.
When we are consistently working from the yang energy and not letting the yin energy rise up, it is an imbalance. And we teach that in yoga. I keep going back to yoga because we teach the yin and yang of yoga. The yang is the hard stuff. We stand up, we do vinyasas, we flow, we jump, we hop, we sit, we do all the work there. And the yang energy will tire us out and get us to a place where we are willing to submit. When we get down to the floor, we're sitting on the floor and we're so tired. And now we are forced to heal through the yin experience.
Yes.
And I'm watching this and I'm going, okay, so if there's the imbalance and we're always working from the yang experience, we truly are not doing a healing practice. We are in a practice of tearing ourselves down. And the other thing too, that I'm going to say this, I know it's going to sound a little political, but we're seeing the hypocritical energy out there when you have someone demanding a Nobel Peace Prize and the next day dropping bombs on schools. That's not in alignment. That's so much of the masculine yang that it's out of control. Yeah. It's out of control, Rev.
Yeah, let's definitely loop that in the closing prayer. I want to make sure we
Absolutely.
loop in just blessing all of us. You know, when we know better, we do better. Blessing us with an elevated consciousness, blessing us with the divine, loving, nurturing presence, a remembering of our true selves, that we kind of wash
Mm.
that in. And I love that you said, you're going to be a little controversial for a minute, because I got so proud of myself this week. I wrote a post. I put a lot of time and energy into it. I said
Yeah.
everything I think and everything I feel, and it got banned from Instagram. And I was like, oh, I'm controversial, because normally I'm so politically correct. And I want to make sure I include everybody, because I have
Mhm.
people um, who I have a lot of people in my life and who follow me on social media, and even people that come up to me after I speak at Agape, who it doesn't, they can set aside our president's personal behaviors, or some of the ways that he thinks about women, or you know, some of those things, because they care about the economy or they care about certain agendas. And so I really always, my intention is to elevate in consciousness as much as possible and be a welcoming place for everybody to gather, because there
Absolutely.
will never be peace if we're only talking to people who think like we think. So I like
Yeah.
creating that space, but I did think it was kind of funny that I like got booted off of Instagram for my post. Oh!
It's like, that's your
But it
badge of honor,
also,
sis.
but think about this. If
Yeah.
what we're seeing, Van Jones, he's speaking a lot lately about how we are in a gray war. This is the third world war. It's a gray war. And what he means by that is this is a war of intelligence, because we are all living in different algorithmic universes and we don't know it.
That's
I
right.
am only getting my information based on
Mhm.
the kinds of things I click on or like. And so I get
Yep.
a flood of things that will show me how bad the other people are, how right I am. But somebody over here would click once and all of a sudden they're getting a whole different thing. So people are getting riled up, myself included, riled up, and we're not getting a full picture. I don't even know where a full picture is available. I have this news mix on my TV and I see different, like 6 different news stations at the same time, and they're all saying different things. They all have different slants, different adjectives on the same event. And so
Mm.
I think it's really important that we be mindful. And I just experienced it this week with Instagram, like trying to share something from my
Yeah.
heart and being told, like, no, you need to water it down. You need to
You know,
change
it's
it.
what's so interesting, what you're talking about is the true nature of partisanship. Partisanship, when you go to the root of partisanship definition, means to be a part of something and against something else. You are really have marked the line. So if we go back to the creation of what was called the United States, let's bring the United back into the States. When we listen to how, the first movement of George Washington getting in power, and you had Hamilton, a part of this movement was to really show how bad someone else was. So you won't vote for them, but let me tell you, so our political system has always been established in showing the bad, not uprising. So
Right.
part of this is I'm seeing this outplaying of the root of how we have tried to dominate each other. And
Yeah.
I believe that is the beginning of really not tapping into the feminine and really tapping into this masculine yang energy. It's like, how can I dominate this person and control this person? And then I think I'll be happy if I do this. And being on one side and being on this side, and it's like I want to feel connected to the people who believe the way I believe. So I'm going to keep watching what is wrong with the other side, so I feel connected to this side. It's so interesting, man.
Yeah,
So
you know what
interesting.
that reminds me of?
Yeah.
When we went through the pandemic, or when we go through any major events in the world, we all believe whatever it is we're going to decide to believe, and then we kind of backfill as needed.
Mm-mm.
We just choose the data, the information. Like I could show somebody like black and white information on a topic, it could be something around the pandemic, and they're still going to believe what they're going to believe, and I'm still going to believe what I'm going to believe. And
Right.
that's kind of a fascinating thing about us. And it's why they're really, to be a mediator, to be somebody that welcomes both sides is so crucial, because we're never going to get those people over there to believe exactly what we believe. But can we find a way forward anyway? Can we find some common ground? Because there is common ground. There's always common ground.
And to your point, Reverend, to your point, Julie, it's very interesting where we have chosen to believe what we want to believe. The one thing I do understand about this belief system, the belief is the thoughts we keep telling ourselves over and over again, and we choose to believe them. But our belief is not always the truth. It's like there's a movement now to erase women's history. There's a movement now to say that slavery was not all that bad, that we learned a vocation. I think one governor said, yeah, we learned how to live. I'm going, hold up. We were far more advanced before we were imported into this way of living. So we're getting this new history that's being trying to be erased, but you can't erase us. We will not be erased. We will continue to tell the story of women's history, of Black history. And this month is Women's History Month. So we celebrate the divine feminine and the powerful legacy. The women are the ones who have helped us to shift into an awakening. One of the things that really hurt me this year, not really hurt me, but it was something that really kind of hit me hard, with seeing the East Wing being torn down. And remembering how many initiatives for the betterment of the people came out of the East Wing. It was movement for every child to be fed in school. There was a movement for every child to be educated, for children to move more, for women's rights. All this came out of the East Wing, and we have someone who tore down the East Wing for the gloriment of a dining room, a gold. Yeah, for itself. So what I'm seeing here is, again, you're trying to erase something that can't be erased.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. Do you want to show that video?
I do. Thank you. I would love that. Y'all, this is, and as we've been talking about, this is our Women's History Month. And there's something really, this movement that's happening in this year to move the Women's History Museum in Washington in 2026 is being built. And there is this movement to make sure that every person understands the truth behind women's history. So we're going to play this video, hang out with us, and I'm so excited about this. All right, here we go.
Women's history has been left out, certainly in our textbooks, of course, in classroom curriculum as well. And in many times it's been totally erased intentionally. Sometimes it's just overlooked, but usually we see women's history as a footnote or in the margins of the main stories.
If you look at what's taught in the standards of learning across the United States, only 15% of what's included is about women's history.
Students who are not being taught women's history are getting an incomplete education, period. By not including women's history in education, children get confused. They can't make sense of the world because what they're learning doesn't look like the world that they're living in.
The National Women's History Museum has been around for nearly 30 years and fills the gaps in history education on women's history by providing programmatics, exhibits, virtual experiences, in-person experiences around the country that tell the stories that have been left untold about women. We've always leaned in to being digital first, making sure that women's history and stories are accessible and available anywhere, anytime, 24/7. However, we're leaning into more and more exhibits across the country. The Museum and Residency Program is something we started here in Washington, D.C. with the Martin Luther King Library.
The Museum and Residency Program is unique in the museum space. We partner with cultural organizations across the country. We go into their space, we set up a physical exhibit. The exhibit stays up for 18 months. During that time, we're also co-creating programs with our cultural partner. Programs maybe that they have wanted to see enacted for a while, just didn't have the staff resources or perhaps even know how to stand those up. After the 18 months, the exhibit comes down, but those programs remain.
The Faith and Freedom exhibit, which will be located at the Fulton County Library in Atlanta in 2026, is really studying the intersection of faith and feminism.
The inspiration for the exhibition was thinking about women's activism related to feminism and to different aspects like suffrage and civil rights, and thinking about how women sort of found the strength to do what they did. And one of the things that came up was faith and spirituality. And so the exhibition is exploring, what does faith do for women who are engaged in activism? Like, how does it support them? What tools does it give women? What sort of psychological safety may it give?
We're really answering the call of all of these wonderful women from generations ago. We're speaking with community members, organizations, and actually meeting them where they are. What works for your organization? What works for the kids in your organization? Past generations as well. What would they like to see?
The idea is to really activate the space at the library in a way that you're just feeling immersed in a subject matter and a storyline. And like, hopefully you can find something that will inspire your own life and your own choices too, going forward.
The point of layering interactive into an exhibit like this is to increase engagement, to give people more ways in, and to allow it to travel without expanding the physical footprint. Part of what's really important about accessing Gen Z and Gen Alpha is that they're digital first audience. The interactive tools we want to create are also going to supply them with material that they might want to share. It introduces the idea to other people, and it creates a much more like organic form to share awareness around the exhibit and around the historic importance of this material.
The underrepresentation of women is not a women's issue. It is everybody's issue. And that's why we need your help to change the narrative.
She's Not a Footnote is a new cause campaign that we launched in March 2025. And the whole purpose of this campaign is to highlight the urgency of the underrepresentation of women. If half of our population is sidelined and not at the table solving some of our most important problems, we're all failing. And so She's Not a Footnote is a campaign to hopefully get all sorts of organizations to unite together and say, together we are in support of women and girls, and we all agree she is not a footnote.
Women's history isn't just about the past. It's about recognizing women's stories in real time every single day.
It's really important to highlight the women that are out there today that are making a difference, making an impact, and frankly, making history. We like to host a Women Making History Awards every year, as well as highlight a number of profiles of women that are doing extraordinary things today. I would hope that learning about women's history and a more inclusive history in general would open so many people's minds to the possibilities of what has happened, what is happening, and what can happen, so that collectively we address the opportunities we're facing and the challenges as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
I'm in tears listening to. I've listened to this video like at least 5 times, and I'm just tearing up right now, going, there's something in me that has softened in a way to really hear and feel the movement. And I believe that is what we're calling to do, to soften in areas in our life that we have hardened so the divine feminine can rise up. And it just gave me hope. It gave me inspiration, not just for women's history, but the history of any community that's felt marginalized and not seen and not heard, And we
Yes.
know that this is the way it has been, but it's not the way it's going to always be.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about that video?
Is that video on their website?
It's on there. Yes, it's on their website.
Yeah.
Yes.
My first thought, I'm good friends with Andrea Waters King, and I'm going to share that with her because I think that's there's a lot of synchronicity there.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that.
You're
That's
welcome.
beautiful. And I guess, to the divine feminine energy has compassion and empathy for all peoples and what they go through, even when they are not me, like even when they're different, and that's what I'm seeing in you right now. You're moved. And it's Women's History Museum, right? But that empathy and that compassion and that probably lived experience also of what it is to be other than. And so it's not just about acknowledging one group, it's all the groups, right? It's all the groups. It's all of us. It's just us. We aren't even groups. It's us. And so
that
I'm
was the
grateful
power.
to have that moment.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the power of, I believe, the civil rights movement. There's a great documentary on PBS called Black Jewish History, or the Black Jewish America. And it talks about how during the civil rights, there were so many collaborative energy to move the civil rights. And I'm watching it, and also talked about the problematic energy that, Blacks and Jewish people have had, especially around Palestine and what's going on and all, that's another side story. But what I did see was during the civil rights movement, and it's still happening, how this gathering of people who was empathetic to the movement that was happening to get up to move. And the same thing happened in 2020 for Black Lives Matter. I saw more white people coming up into this space. And now I see it happening, that this empathetic heart, we have to use that to come together.
Amen. 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 Maybe we could do in the next half, maybe we could do a like a life visioning, since we're taking a pause and we're talking about like really resting in the pause before we spring into spring, to take a moment and reflect. It's the year of the fire horse, which is leaping, it's galloping forward, but you want to be really mindful of what direction are you racing into. And we want to make sure that direction is in alignment, right? So the divine masculine, or the masculine energy, is go out and take and get as much as you can. The divine feminine is resonance. It's allowing. And so I'd love in this next half hour to take time to align with what is the heart's sincere and earnest calling and desire, so that we can move forward from that place.
I love that. So y'all stay tuned. You're here with myself and Reverend Julie. We're the High Vibe Hour here at New Thought Media Network. We'll be right back.
What would Louise say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents the High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour, 60 minutes of connections, insights, and conversations to raise your vibe. Join Rev Julie and Rev Skip each week for an exploration of living a high vibe life. Tune in live every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, or anytime during the week on our YouTube channel. The High Vibe Hour, only on New Thought Media Network.
And welcome back. We're here.
I wanted to share something. I saw Wayne wrote a message that loving the moon is cheaper than therapy. And it reminded me, we had a worm moon on March 3rd. And the worm moon, it becomes like blood red or a coppery red at around, I guess, 4 a.m. Mountain time. Is when it happened, and I got up and I was looking at it, and it was just breathtaking. So yes, like that's the simplest, sweetest thing, to take that time to be in nature and to ground, especially as there's so much happening in the world. One of the things that keeps coming up for me is, I'm out and about, I'm with my family, we're doing things, I'm with friends, and I keep saying to everybody I'm around, like, we're just living our lives, and there are other people whose homes have been blown up. There are people like, and what's our responsibility? I think our responsibility is, first of all, do whatever you're called to do, but to really anchor into a powerful dynamic of prayer, love, and support, and knowing peace, and just blessing that people feel that peace that passes human understanding wherever they are, that we all feel a kind of being held and loved and supported, and let that wash through. Let that wash through all the lands and all the different places where there is unrest right now.
And one of the things that we are, this saying, I've kind of tweaked the saying that my belief have shifted, that the only thing that is consistent is change. I'm going to also add the only thing that's consistent is God, love, and change. Because I believe that the consistency of the eternal presence, it's always there. But how it shows up changes and it shifts. And we're in the middle of our change, a change of season here at the New Thought Media Network. We're moving forward into a new season of how we're going to show up on this planet. We are visioning. We are talking every day and kind of figuring out this message that we're going to bring to the planet and where we're going to do it. And I just shout out to, Rev Briz for creating a network that we got a chance to have these high conscious conversations. And this high vibe hour has been a wonderful experience. And yes, I'm having a little bit of the feels right now, but as my sweatshirt would say, reinvention is my spiritual practice. So we're reinventing ourselves.
Yes. And you've been with the New Thought Media Network for quite a while, right?
Since the pandemic.
This is a big change for you. Yeah.
But I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that we're going to do something and we're going to move in a different way and do not different, but just in a new iteration.
Mm-hmm. And that makes me think of, as you're listening to who all of you that are listening right now, to take a moment. And is there change happening in your own life? Are you on the precipice of change? Are you in the middle of change? Are you on the other side of change? Because there's, all the feels for all of that. So if you are, gearing up for something new, what's going to support you? What will be part of your foundation to stay strong? If you're getting ready for some kind of change, whether it's in relationships or health or work or whatever it is, what can you do to set things up to support yourself? Right. Mm-hmm. And then the same thing, if you're in the middle of change, it is not too late. In fact, it's quite necessary. What will balance your nervous system? What will nurture you? What will support you? Like Rev Skip, you were mentioning, you've got this Bali trip coming up. You've got a million things to tend to, but you're going to get your mani-pedi, right?
Yeah, because absolutely.
You're doing the self-care. That's what matters. So, a very friendly, loving invitation that if you're in the midst of change right now, and it's breath. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's things that don't cost any money. It's getting into nature. It's whatever it is that that works for your nervous system. And if you've just made it through something, there's this practice I really love. If you are on the other side of change, if you've made it through something that was like, didn't know I could do it, however big or small, I love the idea of doing a kindness for yourself. It could be gifting yourself something. It could be taking yourself on a play date. It could be whatever it is, but doing something for yourself. And I learned this lesson from Jack Canfield, who did Chicken Soup for the Soul. And he said, anytime he finishes a project or he completes something work-wise, he gets himself a gift. He does something nice for himself.
Yeah.
And what he made very clear is, I have
Mhm.
money. I could get myself anything, anytime I want. But there is something that happens in our nervous system when we complete a thing and we do a kindness for ourselves on a neural level. It lets our bodies know, our hearts, our soul, our spirit, our beingness know, oh, I like that. I'm grateful for that. And it
Yeah.
inspires us on a neural level to gear up for the next one, to accomplish another thing.
Absolutely. When
So
I
I think that's a
land,
really nice
oh,
applause. What, go
when I
ahead.
land in Bali, you know, when you land and you get across the way, we've lost a day. Actually, that's just man-made time up, but
Right.
there is a day from the schedule that it's missing because it takes us a day to get there, and they're a day ahead. The first thing you do is you don't go to sleep because then your clock is off. So we're invited to stay up. And the very first thing that I'm going to do once I land into the hotel room before we start the preparation of everyone else coming, I have a massage scheduled to
Beautiful.
release the stuff from the plane and the trip, but to prepare myself to be the beneficial presence in the retreat that I'm called to be. Got to take care of myself. I got to put my air mask on first before I put everyone else's air mask on. And that has been, and I was listening to what you're saying about giving yourself a gift. You know what? A gift for me this morning has been a cup of tea. It's been a wonderful gift and being here with you. And I'm realizing something about myself. I don't sleep well when it's coming up for a big trip. And I would wake up in the middle of the night. I did this last night around 3:30, and my mind started to run through this 14 days of the retreat. And I was like, oh, shut down. So I'm going to give myself permission to sleep while I'm there, hopefully. But these little special gifts are so important. Give yourself permission to take a nap. I'll probably take a nap later on today.
Yeah. And when you get back from Bali, because Bali's a big one.
Yeah.
And even though I know, like you said, it's like so fabulous and you're in a fabulous place, but you're doing a thing, you're holding 20 people, right?
Yeah.
When you get back from Bali, I absolutely hope that there is some way that you care for yourself, that you give
the
to
next day,
yourself.
Rev, the next day I'm speaking at North Hollywood. I'm getting off a plane on a Saturday and I'm
Right.
speaking at North Hollywood. But then right after that, I am going to do something special for myself. I don't know what it is, but I am going to follow up,
Yes.
do something on that Sunday and make sure that there's space there. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Of
you.
course.
You want to do a
So,
visioning? Do you want to take us into
yeah.
practice?
Yeah. So once again, the thinking here is we're in the year of the fire horse, and the fire horse
Mhm.
is like galloping full speed ahead, you know, like so
Mhm.
much power, so much speed, so much energy. But if we're galloping in the wrong direction, we will not get where we want to go. So there's an opportunity here to pause. And I'm just reading what Elishiva said. I feel a deep desire to create a sacred practices for my body temple. Yeah. And to bring this to spiritual women to start creating love. I love that. And to bring this to spiritual women, start to be created. Love Shiva.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and that's the kind of thing, what you're sharing right now is that they're the things that we know we should do. They're the things on our to-do list. And then there's the soul longing. And sometimes my ego, a lot of times my ego knows what I should do, where I should be, what I want to get, when I want to get, right? But our world is exhausted and depleted from all of our getting. So we need to have a moment to let. We need to have a moment to align, because everything we need, we already are. Everything this world needs, it already is. So it's about creating the space and the openness to allow divine right alignment. And that's what I'm inviting us into in this moment, to take a breath. If you're not driving or operating equipment and you can close your eyes, to close your eyes for a moment. And on the exhale, could we just let something go? Could you just let something go on the exhale? Any of the shoulds, any of the to-dos, any of the things that feel heavy or weighted, or the just even if it's just for this time,
Mm-hmm.
to let something go, shake it out. And as you breathe and relax, imagine, see, sense, visualize, pretend that you are in your absolute favorite place in nature, a place where you feel just right. You feel energized, you feel loved, you feel supported, you feel tended to. And if you can't think of an exact place, make one up.
Mm.
And from this place, this grounded place where Pachamama, Mother Earth, holds and embraces all of life, all of us, even in our days of poor behavior, in our days of mistreating Mother Earth, we're so held, we're so loved, like children, we're loved anyway, we're loved through it all. And so I just invite you in this moment to become aware of all the things for which you are grateful, to let yourself upwell and overflow with gratitude. And if you're having one of those moments, Lord knows I've had them, where you're like, I don't have anything to be grateful for. That's even more cause to see if you can come up with some things. You know, if you have clothes on your body, if you have breath to breathe, air to breathe, if you've had food today, if you have a place to lay your head at night, if you have shelter, you know, no matter where you are on the scale, start from the most basic, and whatever you have, grateful for this technology that we can join together and hang out for a little while and be human again, be removed from all the effects of the world and feel our hearts. To take a moment and breathe and release all the distractions of the world, all the clutter, anything that is other than love and kindness, to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And in this moment, become aware, what is God, source, spirit, higher consciousness, by whatever name you call it, what is God's greatest idea of itself as your very life? And then this isn't visualizing what you think you want, it's becoming open and available. What comes to you immediately? What is God's greatest idea of itself as your very life? We're in the year of the fire horse.
Mm-hmm.
Fire horse is propelling us forward. What does pure source, that thing that created you, what is the direction it desires you to gallop forward in this moment? What are you moving towards? Get an image, get a hit, get a feeling tone, a sound, a symbol, a knowing, words, pictures. Like, get that sense so you know what direction you are moving forward. God's greatest idea of itself. You don't have to know the how. In fact, you probably won't. But get a feeling tone. You're here for something. You were born for something. As long as there's breath in your body, there's still a mission. Get a feeling tone. Get a sense. What is the earnest and sincere desire of the heart, yearning of the heart? And then notice what's already in play. What do you already have that supports the full fulfillment of this vision? Gifts, skills, talents, abilities, resources, contacts, connections, willingness. What do you already have? And then in order for you to be everything you are God intended to be, spirit intended to be, is there something that you got to let go of? Is there something that it's time to lay it down? Ways that you allow yourself to be distracted so that you don't have to face being your fullest self. You don't have to rise to that occasion, because you could stay pissed off or in a lack of forgiveness or bitterness or resentment. What's depleting your energy? Is there anything that's time to lay down in order that you may rise into that thing that you came here to be, to share, to shine as? And then once again, get a feeling tone. What is God, source, higher consciousness's greatest idea of itself as your very life? You might get colors, symbols, images, sounds, feeling tone. And if you feel like you're getting nothing, you could ask to receive guidance in your dream time. Receive clarity throughout your day, synchronicities, coincidences, divine right people, places, circumstances, and events revealing themselves in your life. And I'd like to just move into a passing prayer, if you're cool with that, Rev.
Yeah,
We'll just
absolutely.
take this moment to bless this high vibe hour, this time that we have joined together and come together to grow together, to be human together, to remember our hearts, to remember and become aware of what it is that we desire to be and reveal in life, and support each other, supporting each other along our way. I'm so grateful and thankful for those that continue to jump in with us, to join together, grab a cup of something cozy, get something, a yummy tea or whatever it is, and just be loved, be nurtured together and nurture ourselves. I'm so grateful for this time, this high vibe hour that we have shared together. I bless Rev Skip. I bless everything that he is here to beam and shine and share. I bless his book that's coming out. I bless his new yoga classes and practices that he's coming up with. I bless the trip to Bali. I bless everything that is unfolding, that is just upwelling and overflowing, all his speaking, all his writing, all his gifts, all the sharing of himself. I bless all those streaming and tuning in right where they are, that there's something being remembered inside of yourself. There's something being renewed and restored, and that as we take this brief pause, just to make sure you're in alignment before we get to spring forward, spring into everything you are God intended to be. And with gratitude, I pass this prayer.
Yes, from this incredible excitement of the newness of life, this God presence that is everywhere flowing. I am so grateful that we get to celebrate this movement of divine truth, this movement of this divine connection. I'm so grateful that we've had this opportunity to be here, to be now, to be on this network, the New Thought Media Network that has been going strong since the pandemic. And knowing that in this space right here and right now, this new iteration of what myself and Reverend Julie is doing, it's already in the mind of God. Therefore, we're catching it. Therefore, we're coming forth in it. And I am so grateful for all the messages that we have gotten the chance, and the prayers that we have had the opportunities to pray have been divine, dropped onto fertile soil of the consciousness. And I'm also blessing Reverend Julie as her book is being written, and all the things that she is doing on this planet to make a difference, a world that works for all beings. This is our shared intention. This is our shared life. And for this, I'm calling forth a blessing, knowing it's already done. It is already done. And I bless each and every one of us who have listened to these videos, all the members that have come in to listen on this high vibe hour on the New Thought Media Network. Souls have been changed. Lives have been realized. And so we give thanks for this and everything else that is coming in the new season. I'm giving thanks for it, releasing these words into the law. It is already done in God, and so it is. Amen.
So it is. Amen, amen. Beautiful.
Amen.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Let's do our takeaways.
Yeah.
Takeaways.
I think my main takeaway is number one, that we've done really good work. We've done really, really good work. And I was just a little bit thrown by some of the comments that were coming down. And that has always been my trigger when comments come on, or I've been, slammed online, or people have not agreed with me in the past, and what you've gone through this week. And I realized something that is very, very important to remember, that whenever we're stepping into greatness, those who are in fear will always attack us. And I'm not saying as in always, it is, I realize those who want to attack are those who are fearful of what we're doing. And this doesn't always have to be. I'm not saying this is always. So I am taking away from this experience is to keep speaking the truth, keep speaking from the place of what I believe in my principles and our teachings, and speak it out and not be fearful or triggered when someone does not agree. And I'm going to continue to do this work. And that's my takeaway. What is yours?
Yeah, one of my takeaways, honestly, because we've been friends for many, many years, but I haven't known you in this way. And one of my takeaways is your excellence. I mean, you write the copy each week for these shows, and it's gorgeous and it's smart and it's wise and it's poetic and beautiful, and you have so much competency and excellence in this whole realm, and I didn't know it that fully. So that's one of my takeaways is your excellence, really experiencing it.
And right back at you too.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited for what we're going to do together in the next iteration. You inspire me in such many ways. So your excellence inspires me as well.
Thank you. And then the other takeaway for me is that saying from my Qigong mentor, Master Wu, that we're in the year, I've said this so many times today, you can tell it means something to me. We're in the year of the fire horse. And you will, what direction are you headed? And so before we spring fully into spring, like to check yourself, what are your thoughts, actions, and deeds? What direction are they carrying you? I saw a post on Instagram yesterday, and it was like, if somebody were, this is so good, if somebody were to follow you for a week, would they believe that you really want the things you say you want? Do you get that? Like, are your actions, are your words, are your deeds congruent with what you say you want? So those are things that are really simmering and sitting with me right now.
One of the other things that I can take away from this podcast, and I am watching you and watching people I adore and my teachers and friends and people that are in a community, a movement of unconditional love, are doing the very best to live that life. Kindness is key. How can I be kind to the person who's hurting, or the person that who just my neighbor? How can I just be kind? How can I speak kindness, a word of love? And that is so important. I believe kindness is, you can never have enough kindness.
Right. That's so true. So true. So how will people stay in touch with you? What do you,
it's in the feed.
To know?
Yeah,
okay,
it's in the feed. We're connected in there. But with me, you can always go to my Instagram, which is Rev Skip Jennings. That's my Instagram and my Facebook. I am really not participating in TikTok right now. I'm finding my way around the TikTok nation. And with social media, you always have to find that place that you feel like you're making a difference. So Facebook and Instagram for me, you can go to my website, skipjennings.com, which a new brand is going to be launched very, very soon with a new book, Transform in 10 steps for 10 steps for thriving at 50 and beyond. That's coming your way. We're working out the audio book right now. So sign up for my newsletter so you can get more information, but stay in contact. Rev, what about you?
Well, I'll be speaking at Agape International Spiritual Center on March 29th. So I would love to have you all, show up. I know, Wayne, you'll be on the chat, and I'd love to, give a little shout out, say hello. And I'm on Instagram at Rev Julie Moret. My book is on Amazon. What's Your What? I always want to know what Elisheva says, because it's always so deep and rich. She says, I'm seeing God in synchronally growing myself to be a spiritual woman, being a strong and empowered, loving Rev. Skips yoga videos. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So check out Rev Julie Moret on social media, and I'll see you at Agape on the 29th.
Absolutely. We're speaking the same day. I'm going to be in North Hollywood that day as well, speaking. I'll be getting off of a flight from Bali and teaching the next day, which I'll be on. I've seen Rev do that too. When they said, "Are you going to teach when you come back?" I've seen Rev get off of big trips and go straight to and do his thing.
I did that after Mount Everest.
That's right. You sure did.
And he sent me a message, and I was like, that is so brazen of him. Like, why would he? But of course I said yes. I was like,
oh my goodness. Rev, I'm getting a little emotional here, but you make such a difference in my life. And thank you for saying yes. So this has been a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody that's joined us. We're so grateful for your presence.
Yeah. And as I end all my broadcasts and everything I tell people, remember, transformation is a choice. You chose today, and you can always choose again. Peace and blessings, everyone. We'll see you when we see you.
Bye-bye.